You can't say.
Oh. Good afternoon. You all set?
Full house.
Yeah, I'm getting full house these days. Well, good afternoon. You will be on standby here, because after this, another announcement will be made. I don't know when I will call you for that. But I call this press conference to announce what will become a top 3 plus me, that makes it 4 government leaders, top leaders, for the second term of the office effective 21st March 2020. You don't have a fixed term contract like mine, which is starting 21st of March 2020 up to 20th of March 2025. Theirs could be changed maybe, so we don't say fixed term contract. But I'm going to say, by virtue of powers vested in me by Article 32, brackets 2, brackets 1 of the Constitution, to announce that I am reappointing the team I was with, starting with the Vice President, Comrade Namgolo Bumba, Comrade Sarah Kuengwela Amadila as Prime Minister, Comrade Netumbo Nandi Daitwa as Deputy Prime Minister. Starting with the Vice President, when we started this republic, I was the Prime Minister. There was no Vice President. I used to double up with the question of assistance and advice to the President and to stand in for him. There's a mandate for him if and when President has going to be out of town or busy. At the same time, to be in charge of administration and also the parliamentary duties. We changed that and brought the original duties of presidency, which is President and Vice President. That is called presidency. And that's why we have that, for many other reasons I gave when we were amending the Constitution. Now when professors and scholars and journalists take the floor and say, yes, we welcome the structure as it is, but you shouldn't have a post of the Vice President. Instead of saying you should have amended the Constitution, this is a constitutional post. So how do you say I shouldn't have appointed or have that post there established? Go back to the Constitution and you amend the Constitution. You cannot have that post. It's a constitutional post. Comrade Bumba is reappointed. Comrade Sarah is reappointed. Comrade Nedumbo is reappointed. So President and Vice President will work together. As you saw, we have new, very difficult responsibilities of poverty, eradication, gender, equality, all have been elevated. Marginalized people, all those important aspects have been elevated to the presidency. Then we have the Prime Minister, her duties. At the moment, a lady is basically to deal with, first, constitutionally, as the head of administration, which I didn't have when I was a Prime Minister. Constitution was amended and therefore the Prime Minister is a head of government administration and also the leader of government business in Parliament, supported by Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister always has another portfolio. It will be that way to justify having that power. Hierarchy now. That's why we're having a Deputy Prime Minister there. But occupying another, maybe same or other important portfolio. Yes, all these top four, as we call them, when I joined them, are the people who are daily meeting when there's crisis to discuss and give directives. Work with people who are committed, who are loyal, not loyalty to me, to the party and to the government. I work with them. I don't see any reason why I have to change them, unless you can give me the reasons. With that, I'd like to thank you, and you may come back later on, maybe tomorrow, but unfortunately I cannot appoint the cabinet, I think, before I'm sworn in. But I may release the names if I'm ready. It's not easy. And some of you are helping me to set up my cabinet. I can't believe it. I have been asked to appoint Dr. Itula as the Prime Minister and Job as the Minister of what. Namibians are great and sense of humor is good. So, the floor is open. Brave one starts always. Women are the bravest. Where is he? Do they NBC or what now?
I'm still in the
So no questions. You normally start.
I would like to give the lady a first opportunity, please, Your Excellency.
Yeah, ladies first. We were equal. Even my party is 50-50. So we don't say ladies first. 50-50. Yes? Okay, it's straightforward. Thank you very much. You have to work. Parliament, you have to go to Parliament. But when I come to other announcements, since there will be too many, there will be no discussions because it will be too complicated. How we discuss, how about this person? So we agree now. Gentlemen's understanding agreement. When I announce the cabinet, no questions. Okay?
No, Your Excellency.
Huh?
You cannot agree, Your Excellency.
You gotta agree with me. Why?
Yeah, Your Excellency, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I apologize for the late question because I thought the ladies would ask. So I thought, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not the case.
I was surprised. You were quiet.
Yeah. Okay, Your Excellency, I'm not sure, with your permission, I would like to direct a question to the current Vice President.
No. First ask me. I'm the appointing authority.
Okay, the question directed to the President is, of course you said you are happy, so you didn't see any need to change your top four or top three. But I would like to, when the President was campaigning for the swap of presidency in 2017, during your campaigns, you would say you wanted what you called one center of power at the time. You wanted the swap of president to be the president of the country. But then at government level, we've not seen this. Your VP, Memenetumo, is not the vice president of the country, but she's the vice president of SWAPO. We just want to know why that is the case. That's the first question.
But tell me, where is the division? What is the problem with that?
I just want...
One power, first to say one center of power in the party. What does that have to do with the government?
No, the campaign message was the SWAPO president must be the president of the country.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that the vice president of SWAPO must be the prime minister. When did I say that?
So the one party or the one center of power only applied to the president?
It's a one party, it's a one center. Let me go, I am a man of experience. When I was elected vice president of the party, were you around?
It was around the excellency.
Then many people thought I must therefore be in the same thing, be the prime minister. None other than Honorable Netumbo Benugeni, Idana said, people are making a mistake. You are making a mistake. The person who has been elected as vice president now is not automatic successor. There is another Congress. It will be a person who will emerge from that Congress who will be the person, maybe to say, that person line of succession. I was a vice president, you didn't ask why I was not a prime minister. I was a backbencher, you didn't ask why I was a backbencher. I was a vice president and I wasn't the prime minister. Until second Congress, the last one came. When I was elected, that is the time I was made prime minister. Besides, I was not a law actually. That's when I recall all what happened to me. I'm talking as a person who went through these things. I was elected as vice president. They are now talking about one center of power. I was a vice president of the SWAPO party and not a prime minister. Now I was a prime minister. Same situation, obviously. I don't know why you are belaboring this issue. It was already asked last time when we were here, yesterday I think, by you. No, who asked it?
I mean, it wasn't me, Your Excellency.
Okay, who did it?
Same line.
It also wasn't me.
Huh?
It also wasn't me. Your Excellency.
But you did, okay, let me say. Did you hear that question being asked? Huh?
Yes, it was.
None of you heard it.
It was discussed. Like yesterday or
Yes.
yesterday.
I have confidence in you. Don't let me lose the confidence and trust. You didn't hear it. You didn't hear it. The way they just asked.
Okay.
Two centers of power question was asked that time. I answered it.
Okay, Your Excellency, with your permission, then I ask the VP. Yeah, maybe VP.
These people aren't get sworn in. I'm the only one here.
Okay. Until 21st March.
Ask him.
Still the VP.
Ask him.
Honorable VP, Your Excellency, I don't know how to address you. Yeah, Dr. Bumba.
By the way, he is still a vice president. What? How are you press people really? Common sense is not there. The man is a vice president until 20th of March.
That's correct.
Yeah, so call him vice president.
Yeah, Your Excellency VP, your position has been criticized. Some people say it's a waste of taxpayers' money, and the government is bloated because of your position and that of the Deputy Prime Minister. They believe that with our population, we don't need a Deputy Prime Minister and a Vice President. They say that the Prime Minister can competently execute these duties. I would just like to know, how do you justify being in that position as VP?
But don't you think it is grossly unfair? Really? Did he appoint himself?
No, Your Excellency, he did
So
not appoint himself.
that's what I said. Ask me the question, do you really, let's be fair in these things. Do you think it's really fair to ask the person who didn't appoint himself, who was appointed somebody else?
I think
Ask the appointing authority.
it's fair to put it to him to justify that I am in this position and this is what I've been doing. And this is it's not a waste of time.
Then go to his press conference, not mine.
Okay, Your Excellency, thank you.
Since he is a very important man, go to his press conference.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Stildin, requesting from a Rebecca newspaper.
Very good. When are you going to be in NBC?
Monday evening again, Your Excellency.
Oh, it's a part-time thing.
Yes, the economy is tough. One needs a side hustle, Your Excellency.
Move on.
Very well. I would like to concur with you, Your Excellency, in the first instance, that Namibians indeed have a beautiful sense of humor. The very Dr. Panduleni Itula that you referred to earlier, as well as Dr. Job Omopanda, and others have often criticized you for not bearing the youth in mind when you appoint senior officials, and including the cabinet. Having reappointed the top three, you still haven't given due consideration to the youth. Would that be a factually correct statement?
Yes, you saw it. I appointed grown-up people, mature people.
But reappointing your top three, is that due consideration to the youth?
Yes, we're going to serve the youth interests. We serve everybody's interests.
Very well. You asked us to agree with you in a gentlemanly manner that we won't ask questions when you appoint cabinet. I cannot, because we also have a responsibility to execute, but thank you very much.
Youth is being groomed. It didn't mean therefore top four are, according to you old people, I don't know about that, but there were no youth appointed in the cabinet. What is your problem? That question would have been good to wait until there's a cabinet and say, I don't see any youth here. They are jumping the gun. Let's wait for another conference when I call you. And you can ask me that question. After you look at the list. If there are no youth, then you can ask that question. And now that you are preempting, I'm now thinking twice. Maybe it's good not to have the youth, maybe. Because you are preempting. You are telling me, don't have them. They are too young. But wait until we get... it's a difficult task, huh? I wish you could be in my position. You think it's easier?
No, I don't think so.
I'm telling you. Somebody said, we must have PhDs. I said I could like to have PhDs. But PhDs do not, I even did that here in the place. But PhDs do not maintain this kind of things. That's what I said in that meeting. And PhDs are not in the parliament, all of them. Professors were talking this morning should have at least grounded their position to say, we want people who are educated and professionals in the cabinet. But we are aware that in the Constitution, the ministers must come from parliament. Basic fact like that. Professors appearing on TV. Ours is a hybrid system with a parliamentary system and that of presidentialism. President is elected direct by people and is accountable to people. He only comes to parliament once, State of the National Address, opening day. So, we have a parliamentary system too, as a hybrid. That a parliamentary system where ministers are first and foremost ministers, and thereafter they become parliamentarians, and thereafter they become ministers. Ministers must come from parliament, National Assembly, and you can also have deputy ministers from the National Council. That's a constitution. Now, do I just go to people who are not interested in governance? I have asked many people who are experts. They don't want to be. Do you know how much money these people are paid? Huh? And do you know what people are getting private sector? People that I've spoken to, some are getting 3 million a year. And you want them to leave that and come here to be the ministers? So the legal issue is you must be in the parliament before you become a minister. Simple matter. So therefore, Article 17 of the Constitution enjoins us as Namibians to participate in politics. So those who therefore participate who therefore stand to be elected, go to Parliament. And you elect them. You don't say, I want this one is qualified. They go on party list. Party is elected actually, not the people. So they go on party list. Those people who are there in the party list are the ones to be appointed. Is it complicated? You have to be in the Parliament. I have only 8. That has been increased to 8 now. To look at several things. Qualification is one of them. Regions, left-out group or so on. But it's my prerogative, because I was elected to do that. So that is what is happening. People have to be in the Parliament, please professors. Don't just say, don't get cronies. Who is a crony? If you don't want to become politician, and they want to become politicians, how do you stay there and complain? I have done that. I have asked many people. I was in Nigeria once, and this man, he was condemning the government, talking about corruption, everything. I didn't talk. After he finished, I asked my brother, you seem to have all the answers. You know all the problems. Why did you send to a president? I'm not crazy. That's what he said. It's good just to be there to complain. Come and do it. They said, I'm not crazy. I said, are you saying we are crazy? So it's the same thing. I can tell you there are people who might ask some of them to come on my list. They said, I'm not crazy, kind of a thing. He didn't say that, but when I take it from that other man, he said, I'm not crazy. And that's the thing. We are maybe crazy to subject ourselves to these insults and so on. Yes. And somebody who wants to keep the privacy may say, no, I don't want to be part of it. So give the credit to those who are brave, who expose themselves to ridicule by anybody. Anybody can call your name. Very good. Parliament, yes. Can call your name. In this country especially. So people are staying away. Give the name of whom can I appoint as a minister of trade. Any names? Youth?
Me.
Who?
Me.
What is your name?
Samuel.
What do you do? I want a person with a PhD in economics.
Yes, I have a PhD.
In what?
In entrepreneurship. In entrepreneurship.
PhD. That is your thesis?
Yes.
Your dissertation?
Yes.
Your book?
Yes.
Where is it?
I can bring it to you tomorrow morning.
Not on the, even my thesis is on the online since 10, 20 years ago. It's online.
Now, Your Excellency, I'm just actually joking with you. For the first time, I wanted to joke.
Can you imagine how Namibians can, I'm old man, and look at this young man, how he can play around with me. He said he has PhD. Did you hear that? You see, you don't have PhD?
No, but I only have a master's, actually.
Only, that's a good beginning.
Yeah, good beginning.
Masters is okay.
Getting there.
I can take masters too. You want to become a politician? Did you stand for the parliament?
Yes.
You lost.
No, I did not. I didn't actually consider that.
You didn't consider
I
that.
will consider it.
You are not next time. Yeah, grow up. Learn from me. Then after I go, you take over. But we cannot be two there.
No, definitely.
It's only one person who was elected, by the way. And yeah, it's a happy thing. We are making jokes now. We finish. Other one is a big one, you know. Other one is I'm not going to call a press conference. I cannot answer questions about why this minister, why this ministers. The way you ask. You must take what I give you. Because it's not easy. I have sleepless nights. You wake up 4 a.m. You play with this, you put it away, it's difficult. Then you consult. Yes?
Your Excellency, I just want to know, when are you going to announce?
It's the eyes.
that-
You are the eye.
Sorry?
Which radio?
Oh, yes, Eagle FM.
It's the eye again.
The eye, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Shari from Eagle FM. I just want to know when you will announce your remaining 7 of the 8, and then also what is the intentional activity that there is to transfer, or the relationship between the young and the old leadership in the grooming process.
Remaining of the 7, what do you mean?
Your 8. Your
8, the remaining 8.
Yes, yes. There's 7.
Why 7?
Didn't you already announce one?
Which one? Did I? I'm getting old, huh? Did I?
Okay.
Who did I announce?
Inauguration, the 8.
Yeah.
When will you announce the 8? And then also just the what intentional activity is there in the grooming of between the old leaders or the elder leaders and the youth?
In my party it's different. In my party we have the youth league, the pioneers to start with. That's where grooming starts. And then when you become youth league, you participate. It's where you control things. And then thereafter, when the party list has been thrown out, nobody stopped. Many of them too, they didn't make it, unfortunately. So, President Nyoma was a young man when he became freedom fighter. I was very young too. Very young until recently. And then he was young, everybody was young. I became Prime Minister when I was only 48, after a long struggle. People like Comrade Prime Minister now was only about 20-something when she became the Director of Planning Commission. Pear and them were young fellows, Chifetas and them were young fellows. There was some of them were out, like Sagi and them were young people. So we groom young people. You see it. These people were there as backbenchers and they move up, become ministers. First deputy ministers, some of them became ministers. So you just want the youth to jump and just grab to be a prime minister or what? How would you do if you were in my position?
I'm not in your position, President. That's why.
If you were, it's a hypothetical question.
Hypothetically, it would be that there should be a close relationship between the I don't want to call elder because they are youth at heart, but there should be, because our leadership is in an advanced age, there should be an intentional close working together between the young leaders.
But we do that.
That's why I'm asking, because
We
I'm
do
not
that.
privy to that.
In our case, we have the youth league. Swapo Youth League is controlling us like that. The youth. We meet with them, they come and take us, they take us on issues. We are civilized, so we don't do it in public. But they take us up. They come and say, we cannot accept this as youth. Which we used to do also when we were young people too, very tough. So we do that in my party. If other parties don't do it, that's your business. But we definitely are. Firstly, this question about the youth and me, in my case, I had, as a Prime Minister, my office was only even the young people. It was called kindergarten. But I brought comrades Kapofi to make it a little bit balanced. All these guys, Hengaris, Simata, not from exile. I just saw them here not to say about nepotism or friendship, cronyism. I just saw people like Simata on TV. He was with the Electoral Commission, I think. Who is that fellow? He sounds good. I appointed him. I had Saki. He came from the university sitting in my yard. Young boy, I appointed him. He was the youngest in my office. I had Hengari. He wrote something. I didn't know these people at all. They were not in exile with me. Mate, and so on, Simi. All those young boys I picked up as Prime Minister in my office. I didn't know them. They were not in exile. They grew up. I trained them there. KK and them, they all. I brought them up. So to say we don't have, I would deal with youth. I was the director of the Institute for Namibia. I used to go with the youth there, groom them, staying with them, eating with them, dancing with them. Huh? And President Nkrumah never distinguished between young and old. We're just as comrades. That's where we come from. So this thing that you are now creating, I said other day, social problem is what you make to be. If there is no problem and you declare it a problem, it will be a problem. You are creating this issue of intergenerational problem. What is it? Are you creating a problem? There's no problem. I don't have any problem with youth. A youth or old, if you are qualified, I take you. I groomed youth. My big boss, Bertha, was a little girl was sitting in the corner on a Minister of Trade. I took the senior secretary. I said, come, I'll train you. Today, go and see who's running this office. It's Bertha. Young girl when I took her. Took her, the Minister of Trade, groomed her, brought her to Prime Minister's office. Today she is controlling the State House. Yes, without her you cannot reach me. She can say no to me. I don't allow that. It's true. Why do you don't believe that? Go and ask her. Go and just try. It's Bertha is her name, Bertha. Her last name is very difficult. Huh? So we are not enemies of youth, by the way. Where do you get this from? We are the ones who groom the youth. And we live with youth daily. Discuss. Many of you don't get people to your houses. Young people, do you get them? Come to my house, we'll see them there. Yes, from the exile days. That's what happened. So why do we create this issue of there is a generational problem? Don't create a problem where there is no problem. It will become a problem. What is this? The youth is... We don't hear, or we need discipline. I never ask any youth to respect me. Never. Go and look in my studies or my papers. If you are not having discipline, that's your business. You don't respect elders, I know where you come from. But I came from a home. I was brought up in a home, therefore I know how to respect people. Not only young, not only old, even young ones. So I didn't say, don't insult me and so on, never. They don't listen to us, we listen. Where do you get these things from? I watch TV, I say, elders don't listen to young people. What do you mean? We groom young people, brought them up, listening to them. So we're talking about some other group, some other party, not SWAPO. Not me. Go and ask the youth. Groom them. They also control us. Well, youth leaders are the ones who elect you, who run around and campaign. So when you get these non-issues to become issues, that means we have peace, and it's boring. Peace is boring, I said. We have to look for now things to cause trouble. And that's what I said. When I was in America, Black Power movement, people were angry, black, it was a war, literally war. One professor asked, why are people so angry now? Were they worse off 30 years ago, better off? They were worse off, why were they quiet? There is no hope. When you have no hope, you sit and suffer peacefully, quietly. But when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you want to rush to reach there. Therefore you get angry. When you see other people driving these cars, living, you want to be there too, because you're a free person too. Why not me also? That's why the anger. Greed, caused by greed. That's what the anger is. I want to be like that person. I don't want to wait. Now I'm over 70, what I have, you have to have. How is it possible, my man? I went through hell before I got what I have. Now you just want to jump. What I have, you want to have. Yeah, freedom you must have. Freedom and ability to be employed, to be educated, those are your rights. But just to have whatever I have. No, man. I went through hell, the camps and so on. But you don't have to go through that. We went through that so that you don't go through that. That's the idea. But don't be over greedy. Overnight, want to conquer the world. Overnight to own all the millions. You will be in jail. You want to do that or you will be in jail. So just take what is there, improve your situation, go to school. I went to school. Difficult times. Some of you have a chance to go to school, don't go to school. What degree do you have?
Well, I'm a holder of a bachelor's degree.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Business Information System, advanced diploma in telecommunication, and I'm currently also pushing for my...
How old are you?
I'm 28.
28?
Yes.
You don't look it.
Yes. Well, I am. So,
28?
yeah.
Which school do you go to?
I'm at IUM now.
Huh?
IUM.
What is that?
IUM.
International.
Yeah.
Oh, international. Dr. Namandi.
Yes, sir.
I see. And you? You have masters.
A masterpiece. For excellency.
Who is younger? You, madam?
I'm currently a third year student at the Namibia University of Science and Technology studying media
Hey,
and
what do you want to become?
journalism.
What do you want to become? Your major?
Journalism.
Journalism is a very important, you know, in America, Columbia University, you must get masters to be a journalist. Masters. So you want to, now you're PA, you're a journalist.
Yes.
What do you want to do? What kind of journalism?
Investigative journalism.
Investigative journalism. I hope you might be better than some. You see, you don't have questions. You have a chance. In that case, then, I have my freedom too and rights. I cannot sit here and then you wait time when I'm going, you're calling me to sit. So that you can say he didn't even take our questions. I know how you do it. Yes.
May I ask, sir?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just have a question. You remember, Your Excellency, I asked you a question about your legacy the other day. I have a similar question. I really like to think about leadership. I like to think about change. And I think we know that Namibia is in a very critical situation as a country, and that what we need in the next 5 years is really going to be delivery on another level. I'd like to ask you, because you like professors, and one of the professors in the world, I think one of the most famous statements is that the definition of insanity, and I say this respectfully, is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You've just announced the same team for the next 5 years. I know that you said you could change it, but essentially you've effectively appointed the same team for the next 5 years. But the country needs a different output. I think we all agree in that regard. I just want to know, how do you envisage that, and how you think this team could deliver the goals that you have for this country in terms of prosperity and I think inequality that you highlighted the other day.
Firstly, we are great people in this country. We had elections, democratic elections, and people of the country elected. Now you are telling me, you know all the people, Namibians want different something, you are saying. They wouldn't have elected us then. If they wanted something else, they are saying we must continue. Now you are telling me Namibians want a change.
No, that's not what I'm saying, sir.
Yes,
I'm just saying in terms of the deliverables of the country, you said yourself the other day that economically, we obviously need to grow the economy.
But you said you are the same people.
Yeah, the personalities are the same.
Yeah,
Dr.
so
Bulu.
therefore I'm saying they could have changed us.
Yeah,
People could have changed us.
but I'm just asking, you had the
Yeah, but
privilege
we must
to
also
appoint
be
the
clear.
team.
We must be clear on that. Because we go to elections for what?
Yes.
People have a right there to change, to bring about the change they want. That's the time in democracy. Unless you have a military government, one-party state, we have now democratic architecture. governance. And therefore you go to elections every 5 years. You want to bring about change, you must come up with ideas to bring a change. If people are re-electing me, I'm going ahead.
We re-elected you,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about a change in government. I'm simply speaking about the economic and national development goals that we must achieve as an economy. It is clear that we need to up our performance. I'm only asking, are you expecting the team that you have reappointed to achieve those specific goals?
I didn't appoint ministers yet. I appointed economic committee, panel of I appointed them because I was looking for something from experts who were not politicians, and they said and gave a report which we released. Us, we would have kept it secret. We released it. We believe in transparency. There are recommendations. If I didn't want to change or so on, I would have appointed a committee. Committee has reported there are recommendations. If I didn't implement them, then you can come and ask me. You are not changing. Already, committee reported there are things we already took action with. Already. These are questions. We already implemented it. So don't judge us, first give us a chance. Don't hope for failure. We are not here for failure. We want to do things differently, of course. I said that already. It cannot be a, what do you call it, as usual, business as usual. I said it 3 times or so on already. We are now talking about, just because I reappointed the top 3, doesn't there is no idea for change?
And we are not the one responsible for economics.
And they are not going to be in charge of economics and what ministers are coming and finance and so on.
Yes.
The policy is everybody. We set policies.
Yes.
Yeah, 20. We do a joint thing, it's not a one person show. 20, we set policies, we will be informed by what people are saying, like journalists and so on.
Your Excellency, may I? I wanted to find out, in the run-up to the elect of Congress, going back to party politics now, it would seem that you were favorable to choosing people that were on your slate. Does that position still hold going forth when you're going to appoint the next cabinet? And then, secondly, are you willing to open are you willing to reveal the parameters that you measured the top 3 on, and because they signed performance agreements? And also, I wanted to find out what the status of the ambassador in France is. Thank you.
Well, the ambassador is doing well, but I don't understand, who is a political scientist among you? When you have a party, you have a party, like SWAPO, and you go to elections, and you are elected, you are going to now get people who are opposed to you to go and run the country? You have like-minded people. I don't know what is the surprise that you want to have people who work with you anywhere. Why do you fire people when they disagree? Look at President Trump firing. You want to have people who can work with you. And this slate thing is also misunderstood or distorted. Slate basically is when you have, like the American president, he chooses a running mate. That's a slate. You make only one tick, both are elected. Did you know that? They don't stand individually. He is on the list of the president. He chooses the vice president. Slate will be if I said me, him, but you just tick once, and we are all elected. We were individually nominated, seconded, and individually elected. Did you know that? You know that. And there were others who stood, who also were defeated or elected. So if people stood individually, nominated, seconded, and elected, individually, you want to now jive and say it was a slate. We chose people, everybody. President Kwamba had a list of those who we want to work with. Did you know that?
Would you be willing to bring back people that have differed with you politically in the past as a means to extend an olive branch, perhaps?
You are not in Parliament. By the way, your supporters that you're talking about, when I defeated them, Pendukeni and Jerry were on my party list, on my aid. Did you know that?
Yes, Your Excellency.
What does that mean? To bring them back, isn't it? How come I didn't chase them out? Why were they on my list? And as ministers. They were also serving as ministers under me. Did you know that?
Yes, Your Excellency.
So what are you talking about?
No, I was just putting the question to you, Your Excellency. On the parameters, are you willing to reveal what you measured the top 3 on and what did they achieve, so that we know the justification behind them being selected again?
If you are say, point out their weaknesses, tell me this person is weak, therefore I do reappoint him.
But the country has gone through a slump economically and people are losing jobs. Is that not reflective of the leadership of the country?
You say people is going slum, economic slum. What slum?
I mean, we've gone through periods of where we had a technical recession.
What do you know what
I won't read your books, have you?
Yes.
I don't know what they're talking about.
The slump is caused by the top 4 now.
It is caused by top 4.
That's not what I'm saying. I was saying that, where you want to steer the country, but the parameters that they were measured upon.
People, you see, we went to campaign. Serious campaign in this country. Public rallies attended by people, told them what we want to, this is our manifesto, vote for that. Then they voted. Now who are you to come and tell me after I was elected, after I went all over to say, look, this is our manifesto. Allow us to do it. People gave us the mandate to do it. And they are going to judge us.
Done.
Last question.
Yes.
Commander-in-Chief, Your Excellency, the question that I have is here.
Are you a soldier?
Right now I feel like I'm a soldier.
You are a soldier?
No, I'm not actually. I'm a legal candidate. Your Excellency, the question that I have here is, a lot of people don't really understand why you will find certain ministers are being moved around from different portfolios to portfolios. And the question is, just to everybody watching out there, because I've been actually receiving this question on our live broadcast, that why do we have ministers being moved from different portfolios to portfolios? And then if it is because of...
So, which ones were moved?
It's actually just one question.
In my
broken down
administration.
in 2.
In my administration. Which ones were moved?
Which ones were moved?
Which ones were moved from place to place?
Well, the Minister of Mines and Energy was moved from National Plan.
Yes, and the reasons were, we talk about corruption, and I listened to what I was hearing. I wrote them a letter to say, people are saying this and this and this. Answer. They answered, 4 ministers to 5 ministers. When they answered, then I sent that to the Anti-Corruption Commission, and therefore removed them from portfolio where they were. So in case anti-corruption will continue, they are not there on the floor. That's why they were demoted or removed. Something praiseworthy in other countries. They moved. Not to be there in the same ministry, because there were rumors made about it. So you remove a person from there, not to sit there and interfere or hide the papers and so on. Move them from there. And I submitted to the Anti-Corruption Commission. Never acknowledged by you.
Now we do acknowledge. We do acknowledge.
So that's why they were moved.
So that's the reason why they are moved.
So that's why they were moved.
Okay, you understand.
Not to be there.
Because,
and therefore you saw what happened after that.
So just to clear out the rumors, so because people were under the impression that maybe they are incompetent, so it's not because they're incompetent, just because of what you have said.
No, those ones were not incompetent, but if they were there, well, we know the case who the people are. I hope. So commendable thing that you remove them so that there will be investigation, not to be hindered by that person by sitting on the papers. That's why you move the person.
Thank you, sir.
Now, why don't you tell me who is it may help me, who is an incompetent minister that has been just shifted around? So that person can hear.
I was just asking on behalf of the nation, actually. I don't have him. Like I say, we're standing here for the voiceless.
Yeah, Your Excellency.
Yeah, you're going to give the Minister of
Okay, one of the names that is being thrown around of one of your incompetent ministers is the Land Reform Minister, Mr. Anthony Nyoma. So I don't know, that's the perception out there. It's not...
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. And my question is, I would like to believe that, Your Excellency, you don't believe that the ruling SWAPO party has the monopoly of wisdom to run, to take the country forward. So this question is, would you consider appointing an opposition member in your cabinet? Thank you.
So therefore there will be opposition, or what? To destroy opposition?
Not to destroy opposition, to take the country forward.
But how do you understand under elections we are having every 5 years? Why do we have elections every 5 years? That opposition parties to be also want to rule, they are only defeated. Why do we have elections? Why don't we just say, Namibians come, I want to select my cabinet. Why must I go through hell of being campaigning and being elected? It was not a joke.
Yeah.
So why must I do that?
Mr. President, some of the members of the opposition are members of parliament, and you said it's from this list that you have to choose from. And if...
So how do they oppose? I thought you were saying it's good to have a strong opposition. That's what we were told. Democracy must have strong opposition. Now you say I must take all of them to become one party state or what?
That's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
Let me say, for example, an individual like Bernardo Swartboy, who was once a deputy minister of land reform. Would you consider him to...
Why should I, as a leader of the party, opposing me to form the government, his government?
Okay, so what the president is saying is all your cabinet would come from Swartboy. Should I...
And that's none of your business. Wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, wait and see what's going to happen. But what is this thing now all of a sudden you must appoint opposition? Huh?
No, it's just a question whether you were considering. It's not that you must.
In Swapo, did you have that? No, wait. In Swapo, did you have that?
I understand that I have to fact check, but my understanding is that the current paramount chief of the Bahero people once served in President Nyoma's government.
And the other one too.
He was...
I brought them.
Yeah, he was the Attorney General, and he belonged to Swanu.
He was first a deputy, not Swanu.
Yeah.
Check the facts. He was not Swanu.
He was?
He was not Swanu. He had his own party.
Rukoro.
Yeah.
He was Swanu.
He had his own party.
Okay, but he served in a Swapo lake.
Yes, I brought him.
Yeah, so what was the thinking then that is different from now? Maybe that's where my question is coming from.
So why don't you wait and see?
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah. You want me to appoint now all opposition in my cabinet? Huh? Why do you have elections then? Why don't I just sit and say, my countrymen come here so I can choose? We're going to rule together. Why do you have elections?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Why do you? No, we are told to.
Why you are engaging?
Yeah, we are still engaging.
I also had a proposal for a candidate, since you like PhDs.
Who?
The president of NUDO
Who?
has a PhD. The
Who is
president of NUDO, the lady, has a PhD in social work.
I see.
Maybe.
I see. Thank you very much. As what?
I don't know.
Now you must have an idea.
Her PhD is in social work, I think, and she's an expert.
So where will you appoint her?
Academy. Maybe gender.
Gender?
Yes, sir.
How does the PhD do a gender?
I'm just proposing people with PhDs, sir. I'm trying to help.
Do you think PhD is Alpha and Omega?
No, I'm just suggesting.
Panacea?
No.
Then why don't you PhD, all of you? I have mine.
Yeah, but I'm just suggesting somebody with a PhD, which I think would be a real good contribution to the
Yeah, very good. Thank you for your dream. Any other person PhD? So, now my recommendations. But this, when I campaigned, you were not around. It was hectic. So why should I campaign? to be elected only to be told, appoint opposition. They just don't have hands and say, let's just come together as Namibians, no elections, you just elect. No manifestos, no competition. Now if you are competing to defeat me, and I defeat you, I must now accommodate you. That's your logic now. New logic in Namibia. Why do we have competition? Why do we waste our time and money campaigning to defeat the other person? Now after you defeat him, say, oh, come now. Come and join me. Why fighting in the first place? I'm still very interested in that logic. You are saying, why don't you appoint opposition? Why having opposition?
Okay, Mr. President, can I respond? Okay, no. Yeah, no, the President is asking. Yeah, okay, Mr. President, I think when these individuals are in Parliament, my understanding is that they no longer represent their political parties. They represent the common...
Could you repeat yourself?
Listen to what
Mr. President, what I'm saying is, our parliament as it is right now, I would like to believe that it represents the interest, the broader interest of Namibia, as opposed to that of their political, individual political parties.
But why are they there as political parties? There is an official leader of the opposition, official opposition. Why is he there? Somebody is called leader of official opposition. Others are called opposition parties. Did you go to school?
Yes, I went to school. Mr.
Where?
President.
This basic political science 101.
Okay, Mr. President. I think we will engage at a different platform. But thank you for your time.
Now we should meet privately.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And then we can. I like you. I like you. You're engaging the old man. That's good. Any other good question? So we go out in peace.
Let's go out in peace, Excellency.
Now ask it and propose that. You must say, like in what you call, somebody takes the floor and say, we thank you for your, thank me once in a while. You never had this kind of things.
I thanked you yesterday.
Thank you very much. Now you must thank you every day. Why? Now next one, I'm not going to call a press conference. After what I've seen. Yeah.